Come on, Annie. Let's go to the movies.
This is the Cinereelists episode 583. My name is Kyle.
My name is James.
And my name is Zach.
And we're here to talk movies, movie lists, and movie obsession for the next hour or so. Fasten your seatbelts, Zach and James. We've got an episode to get to.
See, this is all I've been asking for. This is all I wanted.
A little bit of pre-thought.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful, it's a wonderful thing.
I've had it in my back pocket for a couple days now, just waiting for this moment.
Why didn't they name the movie that? Fasten your seatbelt.
Why isn't it called Fasten Your Seatbelts? They've already had Fates of the Furious. They've already had Too Fast, Too Furious. There's precedence.
No, but it should definitely not be called Fasten Your Seatbelts.
Fast 10.
One, they don't.
Do they
don't wear seatbelts.
They did once in the movie.
They did.
I think they could have. I think people would have accepted it.
If they call it Fasten Your Seatbelts.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I would have thought that's interesting.
It would have been
it's a choice.
The third dumbest title of the series, probably.
Probably.
It would have been leaning into the dad jokiness of Dom,
Absolutely.
How that he's a dad.
100%.
Hi, everybody.
Yeah, we have a guest this week. Meghan has returned to the podcast. How's it going, Meghan?
Good. Hi, everybody.
Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Meghan. Fast and Furious super fan, also food
Expert.
movie person.
Food expert.
Oh,
I've heard.
I forgot to mention, I saw this movie Boiling Point that I think Meghan and Kyle will like. Meghan will like it because it's about people working at a restaurant, and Kyle will like it because it's a true oneer.
Oh, I don't know.
No, 100% true oneer, no tricks.
Victoria was a true oneer, and I found that boring.
Victoria was shot in 2 parts.
Okay, well.
So not a true
It's not a true oneer.
Yeah. But Kyle thought it was and found it boring. It's really just Kyle doesn't like the oneers. He thinks it's pretentious. Without a point.
There is a reason why movies have editing and compression of time. And if you're going to give me a oneer, you need to give me a reason for why we don't need editing or compression of time. And watching people walk from point A to point B is not necessary.
Well, I'll tell you, in this
Aaron
oneer,
Sorkin hate.
In this true oneer, it's in like a restaurant, right?
Okay.
Like a 5-star restaurant that maybe only has maybe 25, 30 tables in it. Sorry, 25, 30 customers in it. So it's a small restaurant. And you move from one character to another and follow them around for like 3 to 5 minutes. And then you pick up another character that walks by them. So it's like constantly, and you're not walking anywhere. You're just walking around the restaurant.
That sounds interesting. Have you watched the show The Bear?
Yes, you recommended it to me, and it was awesome.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And one of their episodes is like a 25-minute oneer of just a terrible service.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a new season coming up. I can't wait.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Mm-hmm.
Is anyone watching Barry? I feel like I'm the only person watching the finale, right? The final season.
I'm watching Barry.
You're watching the final season?
Yeah.
Okay.
I haven't seen this past Sundays, but other than that, I'm caught up.
It's the penultimate.
Yeah.
Okay.
Barry is so good.
It's
so wildly good. I'm trying to get James to watch it, but he won't watch it. He's like,
"What are you
I
talking
only watch
about?"
Things with one
I've
season.
seen every season, but the current season.
Okay.
The current season, I'm waiting until they're all out, and then I will. I mean, they're only half an hour, and there's only like 6 to 8 of them or something like that. So it takes one night and you're done with it.
All right. Then I was trying to talk him into watching Succession.
Which is
the same length as Barry and the same quality.
But Succession aren't half hours though.
That's true.
Okay. Yeah. And there's like 6 seasons to that. And Barry's
there's only 4.
4? All right.
I would totally watch Succession.
You would?
I want to put that on.
This is
I'm
so
interested. Good. I do want to watch it.
You've never brought
Meghan
this
will
up
love
before.
I'm newly interested in watching it.
Can we not do this right now, Meg?
Kyle,
Well,
she's
some of my
allowed to
friends.
bring up things on the podcast. And
This was not in your talking points that we discussed before the show started.
Adding it to our list of things to watch together.
All right, add it to the shared notes.
Okay, we'll do right now.
Do you have a shared note of things to watch together?
Yes.
Sure do.
Can we hear it?
Well, there's a lot on there that we don't have access to, or it's pretty.
What do you mean
random.
don't have access to?
Well, someone will put Yellowstone on there, but we don't have Peacock or Paramount or whatever it is. So
Isn't that free?
with commercials?
No,
and things.
there's a lot of things on here. Do you really want to hear it?
Just the most embarrassing one.
Um,
Is Millionaire Matchmaker on there?
No. What do you think? I don't know if anything is really embarrassing on here. It's like things that people talk about a lot.
What's the most embarrassing show you guys watch together then?
Queer Eye.
That we wouldn't know about.
I don't think
Queer Eye?
is
I don't think that's
embarrassing.
embarrassing.
No, Alone.
Oh.
I bet you Alone's are most
That's
embarrassing.
not
Alone's
very
not embarrassing.
I know. Well,
Alone's awesome.
people are like, when people hear that I watch reality TV, they're surprised. Like my friends are. So
Wait, which
Cutthroat
reality show
Kitchen?
do you watch?
Alone.
Oh,
I don't know. I've never seen that.
Alone is so good.
Yeah. So
So
Alone
good.
is 10 people, like wilderness survivalists, are dropped off in Canada, and
Or
they
Alaska or
have to,
somewhere.
or LA, whatever. Yep. And they have to survive on the land. They get to bring 10 items with them, and they do their own filming. There's no camera crew. This is not like a Bear Grylls thing.
And they're not together. They're alone.
They're all like 5 miles apart from each other.
They film themselves, and they don't know how long everyone else is lasting, and just last man standing gets some money.
They have a satellite phone to like call out and say, "I'm done. Come pick me up."
Because they often are about to die.
Yeah.
That sounds awesome and not embarrassing at all. So
That's a cool one. Megan, I think you hit it with Cutthroat Kitchen. That might be our most embarrassing one we watch.
Yeah, Cutthroat Kitchen.
Zach,
I love it so much.
most embarrassing show you watch
With my wife?
at all?
Currently, nothing embarrassing. But I've watched my fair share.
We'll be the judge of that.
I unabashedly love lots of ridiculous shows.
Sure.
For sure.
Okay.
Right now, my wife and I just watch like Would I Lie to You and Taskmaster.
Nice. British shows.
Yeah. They're the best. Yeah.
I love Love is Blind on Netflix. That's probably the most embarrassing show that I'm addicted to.
What is the premise of that one?
It's like 20 dudes and 20 women get together. They can't see each other. They date in these pods where they can't see each other, but they talk to each other. And they do that for 2 weeks. And at any time over the course of the 2 weeks, if you want to propose marriage to the person you've never seen before, if they accept, then they allow you to see each other. Then
are you legally obligated to marry them?
Not legally, but I mean, it's a show. They're paying you like however long you'll stay on the show, basically. Then you get a month to go live in the real world where they rent you a condo and force you to live together for a month. And then at the end of the month, they pay for your wedding if you go through with it.
How many people actually go through with it?
I would say normally by the end of a season, there's 4 or 5 weddings out of like 40 total people, and maybe 2 or 3 of them actually go through with it. And they tell them like, if you're not going to go through with it, you have to tell the other person at the altar, like, you're not going to go through with it. You stay together for the month.
Such manufactured drama.
So are the 20 people?
It's really kind of sleazy, but
no, they all date each other. Like they'll have mini dates with everyone, and then they start narrowing it down
in the pod.
That's my question.
Yeah.
In the pod
before they've seen each other.
So in theory, you've gotten to know the person through like conversations where you have no idea what the other person looks like. It's just what they tell you, and you might have literally talked to this person for like 20 to 30 hours before they propose. But in theory, the way the show presents it, you get to know a person better that way than had you just gone on a date once a week for a couple months and then became girlfriend and boyfriend. You know what I mean? Like talking to people for hours and hours and hours.
And it's hosted by Nick Lachey and his wife.
That's the other thing too. That's ridiculous.
But not Jessica Simpson, his new wife.
His current wife.
Nick Lachey and who's the who's the current wife?
I forget her name, but last name is Lachey.
Right. Oh, thank you.
Mrs. Lachey.
Christine, Cynthia, something like that.
Christine.
She's famous in her own right.
Is she famous or is she reality TV famous?
No, I think she's famous.
Okay.
You're gonna make me look it up.
For hosting Love is Blind, maybe.
Vanessa Lachey. Vanessa.
Right, but what's her original name?
Yeah.
Samsonite.
Manillo.
Vanessa Vanolo? Vanessa Manolo.
Manolo.
This is just
she hosted
podcasting.
Entertainment Tonight.
Alyssa Milano?
And Total Request Live.
Oh, so she's not Carson
Daly.
Daly.
Not her. Not from Who's the Boss. Not her.
All right, what are we doing here?
I don't know. You guys brought up embarrassing TV, and here we are. I just want to say,
she was former Miss Teen USA. Okay,
yeah.
Fasten your seatbelts is where we started.
Right.
Here, so.
Yep. Welcome to the podcast. As Kyle said, this is episode 583. We're excited to have Meghan here to bring her Fast and Furious expertise to the podcast. Before we jump into the discussion of Fast X, the 10th Fast and Furious movie, I need to remind you there's a video version of this podcast on YouTube. Go to youtube.com/Cinereelists. You could also support us on Patreon, patreon.com/Cinereelists. Get extra after show audio, amongst other Cinerealist swag. You could leave us an Apple Podcast review. That's free and easy to do if you listen on the Apple Podcast app. Or you could send us a listener email to heyguys@cinereelist.com, REEL with an S on the end. Send us a comment, a question, a list suggestion, a movie suggestion, any of those kinds of things, and we will read and discuss it on the podcast, most likely. With all that being said, are you guys ready to finally jump into Fast X? Are we calling it Fast X or Fast 10?
It's Fast X.
It's Fast X.
In their like promotional material, they're like, make sure you call it Fast X.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. All right. I'll make sure that I call it Fast X then.
This may actually be called Fast X Part 1. And the next movie might be Fast X Part 2.
That would be lame.
I don't think they're calling it Part 1 officially at all.
They may A New Hope it.
Sure.
Yeah.
They might Dune it. They're doing the same with Dune.
That's true. It was Dune, and now it's Dune
One.
Part 1. They could Dune it. Yeah, that's maybe a more relevant reference.
Right. More discussion like this right after this clip.
You remember my father, Hernan Reyes. My father was a horrible man, very bad daddy. But I kind of liked him, and you took him from me when you stole our money and left us with nothing but suffering. That's what I came here for. To end that suffering. Oh, and I didn't take that money. I burned it.
That was Fast X, a 2023 American action film directed by Louis Leterrier. This is based on characters by Gary Scott Thompson and starring Vin Diesel, Michelle Rodriguez, Tyrese Gibson, Chris Ludacris Bridges, John Cena, Natalie Emanuel, Jordana Brewster, Sung Kang, Scott Eastwood, Daniela Melchior, Alan Richson, Helen Mirren, Brie Larson, Rita Moreno, Jason Statham, Jason Momoa, and Charlize Theron, amongst others. The official IMDb plot synopsis for Fast X is Dom Toretto and his family are targeted by the vengeful son of drug kingpin Herman Reyes. I think that's how you say his name, right? Herman?
Yeah.
That's how they say it in the movie. Yeah. I mean, that's what happens in the movie. I agree.
That was it. That was the synopsis.
That was it.
Oh, okay.
We've all seen the movie. We've all seen the other 9, I'm assuming.
I think I've only seen it 8 of the 10.
Really?
Plus Hobbs and Shaw. So I've seen 9 of the 11.
Right. If you count that movie.
Never forget.
Which definitely Vin Diesel does not count that movie.
Hobbs and Shaw?
Yeah, he didn't like that movie.
Yeah, no, he was not happy that The Rock and Statham were getting a spin-off movie.
Right. But yes, technically there is 11 Fast and Furious related movies. 12, I guess, if you include that short film.
Los Ben.
Yeah, Bandoleros.
Yes.
I had never heard of that one until I was doing my research today. And
yeah, it was new to me as of like 2 nights ago as well.
And did you watch it?
I tried. It was really boring. I didn't get all the way through it. Maybe it gets exciting in the end. I think they didn't have money for it, and they were like just trying to fill in plot holes that they didn't really have to fill in. And so it's just like a lot of, I didn't watch all of it. So maybe it gets exciting in the end. But Kyle, you've seen it, right?
Yeah. Isn't that is supposed to come before number 4, which is just Fast and Furious.
Which was kind of their soft reboot.
Right. It kind of explains like why Dom's back, why the whole team is back. Because pretty much the team broke up after the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, Better Luck Tomorrow, Justin Lin's movie, is technically part of the Fast and Furious canon.
Right.
Yeah. So Sung Kang is also in that movie playing a guy named Han, and they're supposed to be the same character between the two movies. So Better Luck Tomorrow, I have not seen. I want to add that to my list.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You've never seen Better Luck Tomorrow?
Or it's on my list. I just haven't seen it now.
I think it's in my top 250.
Really?
James, I saw that because of you, and that movie's so good.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's Justin Lin, right?
If we ever did like a top 10 MTV movies, that would be like up at the top for me. MTV. It's an MTV Films movie.
I gave it a 4.5 out of 5.
Yeah, that's great.
And it's Justin Lin, correct?
Cool.
All right. We've seen Fast X. We're going to talk about it right now. We're going to do this discussion in 2 parts. The first one will hopefully be short, and it will be spoiler-free, broad thoughts on the movie, and then we will quickly move into spoiler discussion because it's the 10th movie in a 10-movie franchise. So you're probably only listening to this if you've seen the movie, or I don't know why else you'd be listening to this, to be honest.
Maybe you're just a fan of the show. Thank you for listening.
Could be. That's entirely possible. So what do you guys think of Fast X? Why don't we go with the one of the 2 super fans has got to start this for sure.
We'll go with let's have the guests go.
All right.
Oh boy, putting me on the spot first. Okay. This movie was entertaining, though I did miss some of the driving aspect. I think they have gotten away from the cars and more into the, the stunts and those more unbelievable things that can happen. What did you say, hon? It was like superhero style things that are happening. And we're supposed to believe that, Dom can stop anything with a car or with, whatever he's got. So I don't know. I miss Fast and Furious 1, where it is all race cars, and we watched 5. Well, Kyle watched 5 and I dozed in and out, where it is a lot of car chases and awesome vault escapes, and pretty cool to see how they do those. But it's nice to see most of the cast, though very pared down. It was interesting that not a lot of them are back. It does seem like a very small group back in this one. Not the whole family's not there. And I think we only counted 24 families before we lost count.
Yeah, we counted over 20 families. It's definitely the most of the series. Somewhere else I read that they said it over 50 times, but I don't think we were that off. I don't know.
Did you include the familias?
Yes, I included the familias. Yep. Yep. From Rita Moreno.
Yeah. Yeah. And I missed some of them being together without spoiling a lot of it, but some of the offshoot storylines that got them apart. So overall, it was entertaining, but I missed some aspects that some of the other movies really make me really like, of them being all together.
Nice.
Yeah.
Kyle?
Yeah, I think we're very much on the same page on this. I was definitely entertained. I was having a good time in the theater. We were talking more than we normally do it during a movie in the theater, which I would be ashamed at myself for that. But I feel like when you're at a Fast and Furious movie, there's a little bit more cheering and conversation going on, and it's a little bit more acceptable in that environment than at other movies I might be seeing in the theater.
You brought a blanket, didn't you?
No, but the person next to me took their shoes off.
They were talking a lot too.
They were talking a lot, and they took their shoes off. Did not care for either of those aspects. Anyway, don't take your shoes off in public, please.
You didn't say anything to them?
What am I supposed to say? Put your shoes on?
Yeah. Just be like, man, it stinks in here. Put your shoes back on.
Okay, next time I'll just bring some some aerosol foot spray and just like passive aggressively spray their feet.
Here's the question: did it actually smell, or did it just bug you that somebody took their shoes off?
No, it more just bugged you that they took their shoes off.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it didn't smell, but it's just
right.
the lack of courtesy of removing your shoes in a public space like that.
Kind of like the blankets. It's not hurting him, but it bugs him.
If your feet don't smell, what does it matter if you take your shoes off? I don't understand.
One,
problem.
Your feet probably smell if they've been in shoes all day. My feet smell after being in shoes all day. And two, generally, we're not very aware of our own body odors. Like, we're used to them. So you may not think you smell, but people around you are going
to James's point, he said, but if it doesn't smell,
then what does it matter?
What's the problem?
So are you saying you take your shoes off, you smell your feet, you go, oh, that's okay, and you leave them off?
No, I'm saying if you're confident that you can take your shoes off.
So, for instance, in the situation of your theater where you said it didn't really smell, what ultimately was the issue?
That the principle of removing your shoes in the first place. If we don't have standards, what do we have, Zach?
Kyle, would it bother you to know that I consistently, meaning every time I'm on a plane, take my shoes off?
Whoa.
On a plane? Oh, not
Is
on
that
a
true?
plane.
That's true.
Do you wear them to the bathroom?
100% true.
Oh, my.
Do you put them back on when you leave your seat?
Of course.
Well,
James,
you say that now because you got called out.
You cannot take your shoes off on an airplane.
100%. Every single time.
That is an enclosed space with recycled air.
Well, yeah, but in the movie theater isn't.
My
How
feet
do
don't
you
smell.
know?
No, it's
How
not
do I know?
recycled air
Because
in
I've
movie
done
theater.
it and nobody's ever said anything, acted weird.
They're being polite. They're being a Kyle. They're just being mad.
Secretly
silently.
videotaping you, James.
Well, fine.
All right,
don't take your shoes off.
Zach, I do have a question for you because you have traveled internationally long haul.
I have.
If you're on a plane for 10 plus hours, will you take your shoes off? Do you have a line of like, okay, this plane ride is long enough, I'm taking the shoes off? Or are they on all the time, no matter how long that flight is?
No, you put on your plane slippers at the beginning of the flight and you leave them on the whole time.
Bougie.
No, I remember flying pre 9/11 and we would just like sleep in the aisles.
Anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember just like flying to Hawaii and hanging out with the flight attendants back in like their little, prep area. They didn't care whatsoever. Yeah. Anyway, back to Fast 10.
Yeah.
Fast X. Yeah, so I had a good time with this movie. Definitely, I miss the team element. So much of the team was broken up. And like my favorite Fast movies, which are probably 5 through 8, which I think most people would probably agree is probably their strongest run. There is that team element of we have a joint mission. We have to get the team together to accomplish something. And in this case, you had Dom doing his thing, and then you had Roman and Tej and Ramsey off doing their thing, and then Letty was doing her own. Like these movies have become so big and with such a huge cast that they can't all have them be in the same place at the same time. So they give them everyone gets something to do, and they're starting to kind of buckle under that weight. I think 9 had the same issue of just being a little bloated, a little too big. I also go to these movies for the stunts, because I think these movies are at their best when they're doing practical stunts and then mixing in CG to give you a little bit of that element of believability. And I found some of the stunts in this one to be over CG'd, where I was like, if this is practical, they're using a ton of CG on these. And we can talk to some of the stunts more specifically during the spoiler section. But I was feeling a little lacking in there. I did really like Jason Momoa. He was doing something with his Dante character. And I don't think we've ever seen a character like that in a Fast and Furious movie. Usually every character in a Fast and Furious movie is very manly and very macho. And he was definitely playing it a lot differently. I am concerned that he's also a villain and that this movie is like, oh yeah, look at this weird flamboyant guy who's also a bad guy. I don't know if we'll ever see a flamboyant good guy in these movies. But I did really like what Jason Momoa was doing with that character.
I agree on the Jason Momoa part. Like, he was easily my favorite part of the movie, just because it was such a weird villain.
Yes, yes.
I mean, I can't remember a mainstream movie with a budget even close to this amount that swung as big with a villain as they did with Jason Momoa in this one, as far as just giving him an odd but disturbing personality. Like, he not only did they make him funny, but I think they retconned a motivation that kind of made sense to me. I mean, it's thin, but at least it was there, type of thing. And they, like, that one patio scene was kind of enough for you to be like, oh, he's not just funny, he's literally out of his mind.
Oh, with the toenails?
Yes, the toenails scene on the patio.
Yep.
I think that scene, at least with my audience, things got pretty uncomfortable. It was half the audience gasping when they would cut to certain shots, and the other half was like nervously giggling about what was going on. And the tone kind of changed with regard to whenever Jason Momoa showed up on screen. And I think a lot of people in the audience were conflicted as to whether this was funny anymore. And
personally, I wish they left out that toenail scene, because that 1 minute is probably going to keep my wife from seeing the movie. Like, I wouldn't recommend the movie to her because that scene would disturb her so much, when otherwise she would have a good time with it.
Yeah, and it's surprising that scene's in a rated PG-13 movie, because that scene was pushing it for sure.
At first, I wasn't sure if it was a torture, like they were just tied up, or if it was a Weekend at Bernie's sort of situation. And I was disturbed to know it was the latter of the two. So,
but it really set the tone for, like, this guy that you think certainly wants to get his revenge, and, you know, he's the bad guy, he's the fun bad guy, and then you kind of, like, some of the things that you've laughed at so far, you realize are like, no, this guy is really gonna get his revenge. You know what I mean? Like, he's after it. He's not messing around, and he's just out of his mind, basically. And I like that, because I don't think I've felt like a real menacing enemy in any of these movies in quite a while, where I'm like, oh yeah, like, Jason Momoa is the first person in many Fast and Furious movies where I'm like, he'll never turn to be the good guy.
He's not going to join the team.
All the other bad guys, I feel like, eventually get turned into good guys in these movies. And this makes sense as kind of like the last Fast and Furious bad guy, just somebody who's completely out of their mind, unredeemable, and is going to end with them being dead or your hero being dead, one or the other. And so that was my favorite part of the movie. The rest of it was just like, what are we doing here? We're just biding time with action scenes to try to get to the second half of whatever's going to happen in this story.
Yeah, there's an incompleteness to this movie that left me a little bummed out.
Yeah. So, and also, I think I got this from you guys, the vibe that like, I think the first couple of movies are of their time and they're more about racing than anything, and the racing's cool. And then they hit like a nice little medium here from 5 to 7 or a little bit of 8, where it was like you can get a little ridiculous, but don't go over the edge here. Sometimes they did, like when they were jumping from building to building in Dubai, like I could have left that for sure. But like for some reason, cars being cars being radio controlled. Like what? I don't even remember which movie that is.
No,
remember when
that's 8, and that one totally freaks me out because it feels really real. It feels like it totally could happen.
See, I like that though. I like that ridiculousness.
No. I like things that are ridiculous in a way that could not happen. Like The Rock holding onto a helicopter in Hobbs and Shaw. That cannot happen, right? But it's fun. It's like willful suspension of disbelief. But being in New York City and knowing that I can imagine cars falling out of the sky because some lunatic is just doing that. Yeah. And that terrifies me. And I that's one reason I did not like 8. And that's one of my least favorite parts of 8. I still liked 8, but that was one of my least favorite parts.
Was that the magnet thing?
I didn't like 8 either, but what I like is when the stunts are ridiculous, but also grounded in some reality.
Right. Yeah.
Basically. And they've definitely kind of abandoned the idea that they're like car stunts. It's literally like, let's just drop Dom from 100 feet in the sky and somehow he has these amazing shocks. Where he's just gonna like survive it, and
like when he drops out of the back of an airplane.
Yeah, I mean, it just was.
Yeah,
there was like no attempt to make it like, oh, the airplane gets within.
He lands in another car.
That's what I mean. Like there was no attempt of like the plane gets within 5 feet. Like a 5 feet drop is like a realistic drop, and then maybe he backs into the cars right behind him. But like you could still do the stunt in like a ridiculous way, but make it somewhat believable, as opposed to like a live action cartoon. Yes.
These movies have established that the softest, safest place to land is a car.
I know.
So if Dom had dropped out of the back of that airplane and hit pavement, yeah, done. That car would just be flattened. But the fact that he lands on a soft, supple, giving car hood that he can drive away, no problem.
Yeah. Anyway, I missed that about it, but we are at the 10th movie, and I guess where do you go, right?
Yeah.
You just get more and more ridiculous to the point where it's barely even, anything but a sci-fi movie, which is fine, but we got a lot of sci-fi movies. Not sure my Fast and Furious movies need to be sci-fi movies. Zach, what'd you think?
I don't care about any of these movies at all. They don't mean anything to me. I don't care about any of these characters really at all. Or their friendship or family, I guess, relationships or any of that.
It's not a friendship.
Yeah, none of that means anything to me. But I did have a lot of fun with this movie. I thought it was really fun. I was thoroughly entertained the whole time. I enjoyed myself. I was never really bored except if Vin Diesel was trying to act. And I think the set pieces were great. I mean, I'm always amazed at competent action filmmaking, because just the complexity of shooting that and editing that together where it's coherent in any capacity is amazing. And I thought I enjoyed it. I could follow along with what was happening. I thought it was cool action. I've never seen the laws of physics do the things that it did in this movie. For me, again, I don't care about these movies. So I'm not nostalgic for when they were racing more or when it's more about the cars or anything like that. I just want there to be good action set pieces, and the less they talk to each other, the better, as far as I'm concerned. And I appreciate the fact that it's ridiculous. I want it to be ridiculous, in an unspoken, casual way. If they're superheroes, it's my favorite type where we don't bother with an origin story. Like there's no explanation for why they can do these ridiculous things. And I'm so happy for that. If they could do these things because they once drove through ooze, it would be really obnoxious, I think. But they just can because they're such good drivers.
Yeah.
I'm on board.
They're also superheroes with all the exact same powers as each other.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah. I just love it. And also like, other movies like Ocean's 11, right? They meticulously plan out their heists and like they practice and do things. And even those seem like unbelievable when they actually pull them off. This one, it's like, oh, tomorrow we got to fly somewhere and do this thing. I'll tell you about it on the plane. And like, like the most convoluted like plans with like all of these variables that could literally go any which way. And then they are perfectly executed with zero planning or forethought or people even really paying attention to what's happening.
No, I think you're underestimating. You're underestimating.
They
them
just don't
because,
show the planning.
Right. And they bring together all these different people because they have different skills and they don't have all the same superpowers as each other. They only work together because they have different skill sets.
We'll talk about Rome in the spoilers, but I would
No,
love
I'm not
for
talking about Rome. I'm talking
well,
about
I am talking about Rome because the amount of planning they put into that mission was very little. Very little. They were basically discussing it at the barbecue the day before.
Yeah, that's the planning barbecue. It's every Sunday. It's like the stand-up meeting for the Fast and Furious team.
Roman, like they're asking, like, why are we using remote control cars anyway? Like, has Roman not explained that aspect of the plan to them yet? They're going tomorrow. They're not even in Rome the day before the mission. And then at one point, they jump out of the balcony. That's part of the plan. They jump out of the balcony because the car is going to drive right past them. I'm just saying it's a lot of variables.
part of the plan.
Yeah, exactly.
How else are they supposed to get in there? They're going to jump on top of a car because it's a soft place to land, as Kyle has told us.
It's the safest place you can be in these movies is on top
of a car.
Yeah.
And Ramsey has showed us that she can drive a big old truck in other movies. So.
And characters that had annoyed me in other movies did not annoy me in this one. So that's good. Two of them. Jacob. Uncle Jacob.
Oh, John Cena.
Oh, John Cena.
He did not annoy me in this one, whereas in the last one, he just looked like a big dum-dum.
Well, he was like, he was so serious in 9.
Yeah.
And then in this one, they're like, oh yeah, John Cena, we forgot he's a funny guy. Let's just let John Cena be big and funny.
And I think
he was a glorified babysitter in this one.
Well, what I like about John Cena, the person, is he like genuinely just likes kids. And so they put him with a kid in this one, and he was just a good uncle, you know, and so I liked him so much more in this. I liked Cypher more in this than in previous ones.
Because she was dying?
No. I think because she was humbled in a way. She's not, so she has things to offer, but she's not like invincible.
She wasn't quite as untouchable as she's been presented.
Like an 8, yeah.
I want to go back to something that I think James said, that how we thought somebody said that Dante we don't think that he's going to be able to be turned into a good guy.
The Jason Momoa character.
Yeah, Jason Momoa. I think maybe that's why I don't like him very much. And I know I'm not supposed to like him because he's a villain, but he has some of these aspects that make you want to like him a little bit. He's a little more flamboyant, you know, beautiful clothes, and he's funny and all that stuff, but he doesn't know when to quit. And he is going to make this team, especially Dom, feel the wrath of his revenge. And I found it uncomfortable. Like, enough is enough at some points. And that to me it lost its edge almost. Like, you've gone too far in a lot of those situations. And you could have gone a little less, and I would get the point.
Sure.
I don't need him to be a good guy, and that's fine if he's never going to be a good guy, but I got uncomfortable sometimes.
Gotcha. I think that was by design.
Oh yeah.
Because they don't have anybody left that can make you uncomfortable. Like they've literally turned everybody at this point.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which might be a little bit of a spoiler, but we'll get into more details when we get to spoilers. But anything else non-spoiler that we need to talk about? Sounds like the super fans like this the least, Zach.
It does sound like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I did not dislike this movie. We'll get into a star rating, but yeah, like it just there's a lot going on, and I feel like it's buckling a little bit under its own weight, its own self seriousness.
If the next one is 2.5 hours of Dante, are you gonna hate this movie? Megan's gonna hate it.
Yes, I am. I am gonna hate it.
Probably what it's gonna be. It's probably gonna be like Dante knocking a couple people off for real, and then one big showdown, and then whoever's left hugging it out.
Nobody ever really dies in Fast and Furious, so.
Right, but if they're serious about it being the last movie, which who knows if they're serious about that, but if they're serious about it being the last movie, I wouldn't be shocked if like 2 or 3 people bit it.
Actually die.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
But who knows if they're serious. They're leaving a lot of money on the table if they walk away from the franchise. So I don't know.
It might turn the way of Marvel where people just stop caring after a while. Like, I'm not going to go to this.
Yeah. Could be. All right. Anything else, or should we letterbox this? Is ready?
Let's letterbox
Let's do it. I'll give it a 3.
I'll give it a 4.
All right.
I'll give it a 3.
All right.
3.
Wow.
3.
Y'all gave it a tepid 3.
3.
Are you not entertained?
No, I was entertained. But
it didn't blow me away.
I wasn't blown away.
Yep.
I mean, they're made to be entertaining, right?
Yeah.
Like it's like, you know, putting a baby in front of the TV and like splashing colors in front of them. They're going to be entertained. Whether they actually leave with anything of substance, I don't know if there's a whole lot there.
I don't trust them for substance.
Yeah.
Like when Vin Diesel tries to inject substance into these movies, it's so
thick,
mind-numbing, awful.
For sure.
I'll have nightmares of him smiling.
Whenever it's just, yeah, like it's the most forced. He looks like Shrek smiling.
Sure, yeah. Yeah.
Not only that, but when he was just like talking to his son, and like they had the scenes in the car with the son, and I was just like, this is not how fathers and sons converse with each other. Like at all. Like people don't converse in catchphrases, and that's been a problem with these movies for a while. Like nobody actually just talks to each other. They're either joking with each other or they're talking to each other in catchphrases.
Can we start spoiler right now? Because I want to talk about the Vin Diesel son relationship, but it's gonna be a spoiler if I can do it.
Okay.
So, okay.
Spoilers from here on out. If you haven't seen the movie and you don't want to hear spoilers, then just pause it and come back. Otherwise, continue listening. Kyle.
All right. So like his son's maybe 8 years old. Meg and I were trying to figure out his age based on like the timeline of these movies.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know.
He seemed older than 8.
He seemed older than 8, but I don't think he can be older than 8 just based on how like when things have happened.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so like there's this big chase where he gets snatched out of a car by Dante. He then jumps from one moving car into his dad's moving car while his uncle seemingly dies to save him. Right? Yeah. He sees all this, and then Vin Diesel says to his son, "Hey, you okay?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm okay, Dad." I'm like, no, if an 8-year-old was kidnapped, jumped from a moving car, and witnessed their uncle dying in like the span of 5 minutes, traumatized forever.
And poop their pants.
Oh yeah, definitely poop their pants
in the process, for sure. Yeah,
like that is a resilient child.
He jumped from one moving car to another moving car at his dad's like insistence.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So his dad believed so strongly that that would work.
Yeah.
That he risked his son's life on it. And it just so happened it did work. But that's a big risk that your son just jumps from a moving vehicle and then immediately gets run over by your vehicle.
Could you convince Kayla to do something as death-defying as that? Or would she just shut down in fear? I mean, I know she's younger than this kid, obviously.
I mean, if I told her, she might trust me to do that, not recognize the danger, but I would never think that that is my only option. It's like, okay, two moving vehicles, she needs to jump from one to another and I'll catch her.
This is not like jumping off the side of the pool. This is like a moving vehicle.
Yeah.
The stakes are a little bit higher here.
Is that the helicopter scene too, where he's like between the two helicopters? I don't remember.
No, the helicopter scene is where he drops in from the plane.
Right. I'm just trying to remember when the kid scene worked in.
Oh, that's after. It's towards the end. It's before the dam scene.
Okay. Oh, right. It's a part of that kind of like final sequence.
The extended chase. Yep.
I remember.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Like, what do you guys want to spoil? There's a lot to spoil, but there's also not a ton of substance, as Zach said.
I'll say first of all, it's pretty bold of the movie to start with literally just 5 minutes of a previous movie.
Right.
Absolutely.
And it shows you maybe the best action sequence of the entire series.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, remember this cool moment?
It seems like cheating, but yeah, it literally just shows that scene for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Kyle before I went says like, you should probably rewatch Fast 5 or at least the bank vault heist scene before you go. And as I'm watching this, I was like, why? I just get to see it at the beginning of the movie. Like, I don't need to rewatch it before the movie. I'm seeing it in the movie.
So the actual scene is longer from 5. This is a trimmed down version.
Absolutely.
And did this?
Well, I did end up rewatching it beforehand.
Because did this one in Fast X? Did it show The Rock shooting Reyes, or did they cut that part out?
It did not.
Because I feel like that's a big. I mean, and that kind of ties into a stinger at the end. Like Vin Diesel's the one that tossed the car into Reyes's car, but Reyes is still alive after that happened. Apparently, it was The Rock who casually walks by and finished him off. Why doesn't
The Rock is?
Oh, okay, yeah. So Megan, what's the exciting part of that?
The stinger. The Rock is coming back for the second part. I am so excited about that. So excited. Like, I think he brings so much to these movies that is missing, and I'm so happy to hear that he's coming back.
Can someone summarize the Vin Diesel Rock feud for me?
Yeah, they're just two big egos. And
The Rock has bigger
I think
muscles.
there's one big ego.
No, but The Rock was calling people candy ass. Like The Rock was not the better man in this feud.
I'm saying that The Rock was in this movie, right? He came into the franchise.
He came in at 5.
He came in at 5, which is when the franchise turned good.
Yep.
Most people accept that, like, the first movie has a certain charm. The second one's all right. The third one, we're definitely losing our way. The fourth one, they rebooted it, but it didn't go quite as well as they wanted it to. And by 5, they're like, we need some star power in this thing.
Right.
Let's get The Rock.
he calls himself franchise Viagra.
Right. And so they bring in The Rock. Fast 5, I think, is a good movie on top of The Rock being in it. Like, I don't think it's just him.
Right.
That bank sequence was going to be there whether he was in it or not. And that's a great action sequence. A couple other things that happen in that are great. And then, and I think Vin Diesel got a little jealous about how much people were focusing on The Rock being in these movies. And I also think Vin Diesel tried to make his own series with XXX, and that did not go very well. He made a couple of attempts to kind of have his own franchises, and then eventually started making stipulations on movies that, like, what were the stipulations that for they each got the same amount of punches and nobody could be knocked out by the other person or something like that.
Yeah, in like 5 or 6, I think it's 5. In 5, they fight and it literally ends in a draw with like them being held back by other people. It's one of those like I would have had you kind of moments.
And there was like contractual agreements in later movies that were like, you cannot get one up on Vin Diesel, basically, essentially. And from what I can tell, The Rock doesn't really care about those things in most things. Like, just his personality is like self-effacing. So if it makes sense for the movie, I honestly believe if it makes sense for the movie, The Rock will do anything in any movie, even if it comes at, even if you're getting a laugh out of him, at his expense. Whereas I 100% get the feeling that Vin Diesel does not operate in that way, especially in these movies. He always wants to come out as the guy on top. So yeah, that's why I say I feel like it's more one-sided than two people.
True, yeah.
I think it's Vin Diesel being a little ridiculous and The Rock being like, you're being ridiculous.
Yeah. Vin Diesel also has this weird short man syndrome, and he's not a short guy. Like he's 5'10" or 5'11". I can't find a clear height on it, but he's always paired with these guys like The Rock, who's 6'4", Alan Richardson, who played the new syndicate, I can't remember what it's called, The Agency. Momoa, who's either 6'4" or 6'7". Like all these guys are measurably
one of the two. One of the two.
Yeah, but they're all measurably taller than Vin Diesel. Yet in close-ups, he's always eye to eye with them. Or if he's like talking to them in a wider shot, one of them's like he's on a ledge or on a ramp. Like he's always has to be as tall as these taller co-stars. And I find that like it's kind of like Tom Cruise is the same way, but I just find that really funny to like watch the scenes and see how they're making Vin Diesel as tall or taller than like The Rock or Momoa, who he's not. Or like Megan, you said that like The Rock's just got an enormous head.
Yeah.
And there's no way like when Vin Diesel and The Rock are looking at each other, they can't have the same size head. So like one's got to be closer to the.
Like the one of The Rock's legs is like as wide as my torso.
Yeah.
Like that dude is just massive.
He's
huge. He is a huge person.
And like Vin Diesel's a muscular guy, but I would say he has muscles on a normal frame.
There's a scene in this where he's in Fast X where he's walking into the back of a van, and I swear he flexed every muscle on every step. And then he like sat down on the chair, like on the edge of the chair, and looked like he was just flexing. And I was like, dude, just chill out for a minute.
When he walks, he has his arms out and he's kind of like making fists.
Right. Yeah, because he's
trying
to
really weird.
Yeah.
Like a gorilla.
It's because he's like next to Alan Richardson, who's another like 6'5" enormous guy. So
I kind of wish like to make him not necessarily sympathetic, but like to get the feeling that he's actually conquered something here. Like, why not just acknowledge that like he's going against these people who are much bigger than him, so that when he does come out on top, it's impressive. Like it's as if like Keanu Reeves never wanted to be smaller than any of the people he was fighting in the John Wick movies. Like, no, it's fun to watch him fight a 7-foot tall guy.
Oh yeah, Boban or whatever it was.
Yeah, and come out on the other end.
Yep.
I don't know. So yeah, that was a long explanation, Zach, but that's why The Rock has not been in these movies lately, and why I'm surprised he's going to be in this last one. I mean, I bet Vin Diesel just loves money, and he's like, "Hey, this last one we got to go all out. I don't care."
Well, I bet if Shazam. Or no, well, Black Adam. I bet if Black Adam did better, he wouldn't have been in this movie.
That's you have a very good point. Black Adam. According to The Rock, it did just fine. Okay, guys.
So you think it was like a late addition?
Yeah, I think it was a last minute decision.
Interesting.
I think I read something to the effect of they showed The Rock the final film, and that's when he decided to film the Stinger.
You're right. Zach, that's correct. I read that too. Yep.
What about
the Fast 10 film?
Yes.
What about he was not going to do it, and then he saw the film. He's like, okay, I'll do it.
What about Gal Gadot?
Oh, that I'm pleased that she's back, and that did not surprise me whatsoever. Like Gal Gadot was not a star when she was in 4, 5, 6, and then she did Wonder Woman and became huge. I was like, there's no way they're not bringing Gal Gadot back, considering how big she is of a star now compared to what she was when she was in these movies.
It surprised me because her character is like the only one that they've had any kind of consequence for. I mean, I guess the mother of Dom's son had a consequence in the last movie. Was it last
Elena
movie or 8?
That was an
I don't
8.
remember. Yeah, so so that's one person of consequence who's exited the series, but how
did she die?
She
Gal
died
Gadot?
in 6.
She sacrifices herself.
Yeah, she sacrifices herself to save Han, who was her boyfriend at the time.
Right. But
That
like
was in
physically,
6?
how did she die?
So her car and a couple other cars were attached to an airplane that was taking off. And they were fighting a bad guy. Her and Han were fighting a bad guy on the car that was attached to the airplane. And she starts to slip and is like hanging on the edge of the car over the runway. And Han goes to save her. And at the same time, the bad guy crawls up behind him, about to kill Han. So she lets go of the car, pulls a gun out, shoots the bad guy, and then falls on the tarmac into the darkness. And
do you see her fall on the tarmac?
I mean, you see her body disappear into the inky blackness of the tarmac. Like, they never actually show anyone die in these movies. But she has definitely been, of all the characters who have come back, she's been dead the longest.
The longest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's been dead the longest of them all.
Mm-hmm.
She lasted dead for 3 movies?
Well, so she was dead for 7.
7,
she was
8,
dead
9,
for
and then she's
3.
back in 10.
Remember, 3 takes place after 6. So she was dead for 3, 7, 8, and 9. She was dead for 4 movies.
I just mean in order of release.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm sorry. I thought you wanted chronological order. Yeah, she was dead for 3.
Sure.
Nerd.
I mean, I'm excited she's back, but also, okay. There's no reason to bring her back. You know what I mean?
But there's no reason not to bring her back.
So she can
either,
reunite with Han, I guess, to get that moment is why we're doing this. Pretty much. Right? There's no other motivation to bring her back.
Money. Franchise.
Well, sure. I mean, from the storyline perspective.
Oh, yeah, of course not. No.
There's no reason to do it other than give Han a happy ending at the end. Because he's got his girl back.
Is Brian going to come back?
Oh,
he's dead, Zach.
So that's actually what I was
the character
trying to get back to. Yeah, so Brian is weirdly alive in these movies.
Watching the kids.
Yeah, so there's a family dinner at the beginning, and Jordana Brewster, who is Brian's movie wife, is at the family dinner, but Brian's not there with their kid. Like, did she just send, like, oh, honey, you stay home with the kid. I'll go to family dinner.
They mention it at one point. They mention where Brian is. I don't remember what they said, but
it's always the fun of these movies. Where's Brian now?
Yeah, they always mention it.
And
at least in the last couple.
Like, Dante wants his revenge on Dom.
Mm-hmm.
And we see that he also wants revenge on Hobbs through that phone call. But he should equally want revenge on Brian. Like, Brian played just as much a role in all of that as did Hobbs and Dom. So it's these movies are weird that Brian is still alive, even though Paul Walker is dead, and everything's about the consequences to the team. Yeah, the bad guys always seem to forget that Brian's part of the team, even though he's not anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I kind of wish that they had not kept Brian alive in the movies, just because it just adds this weird element of there's this other guy who's still there, but he's not really.
Mm-hmm.
Then they couldn't bring him back, honey.
They could have killed him in 7. They could have killed him in 7. I don't know if that'd be tasteless to like kill a character in 7 whose actual actor died, but is any tasteless like keeping him alive?
There's got to be other instances of that in series or movies or TV shows or something.
I don't know.
They kill off characters that actually die.
I'm sure it's happened. I'm just not sure it's happened on a scale of like a 10 movie franchise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's made, $4 billion or whatever the total is at this point.
Interesting.
Yeah. Or just like end it at 8, right? 8 was the last one that he was in.
7.
Yeah, end it like the ending of 7 with wrapping up the Brian stuff at the beach was best case scenario.
Right, he dries off into the clouds.
They had a hit song for that moment. You know what I mean? It was like perfect, basically. And then maybe just don't mention him again. You know what I mean? Just he's gone type of thing. He drove off.
But then you couldn't bring back Jordana, though. Kind of writes off her whole storyline as well.
I mean, we'll get into characters, top 10 characters and stuff like that. But I mean, that's just the price of admission. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Are you saying me as no one's number one character?
Yeah, or I don't know. Maybe you throw in a one-liner at the beginning of the next movie, and you know, Brian got killed in between the movies, or something like that. I don't know. Just somehow where you don't have to constantly keep it hanging over people's head.
Yeah.
Something like that. Or you commit and you have Brian in these movies and you swap him out with his brother. Like you literally don't face replace, just have his brother there. He's Brian now.
I mean, they're going to be very tempted to face replace.
I know.
Because of how good it is now.
I read though that the brother was interested for a while in playing his Paul in the movies, and I think they've kind of soured on that idea. Like maybe we don't actually be doing that anymore. So,
I think they're too far away from it at this point to do that.
But I think they would have done it by now if they were going to do it.
Yeah,
because was it 9 or 8? Meghan, was it 8 that ends with like the blue Skyline Nissan pulls up to the dinner?
No, that one's in New York City, so there's no pulling up to the house.
Okay. In one of these,
must be 9.
Yeah, one of these recent movies, like Brian's car pulls up to family dinner at the very end, and then they cut away.
Didn't in the last one, like the entire house blow up? Dom's house?
That was 7.
And then they rebuilt it to be exactly what it was before?
No, in 7 it blows up in LA, and then 8 they move out to New York, right? Yeah.
But then in this movie, they're back in LA.
And the house is back together, right?
Oh, they were back at the house, weren't they?
Yeah.
Why were they back at the house? And like, I was like, didn't this house blow up? They built it
sure did.
Exactly like it was before. It didn't make sense to me. Nobody was acknowledging it on screen.
Like as
this movie actually takes place between 6 and 7.
Well, yeah, it makes sense because 5 is when. Yeah, right. This is Dante getting immediate revenge for. Yeah.
Jeez.
I said to Meghan before this movie started, they're going to show us scenes from number 5 and they're going to insert Jason Momoa into them. And sure enough, they're like scenes from 5 and there's Jason Momoa that's like awkwardly standing in the corner. Like I was here the whole time.
Did anyone predict that Ames was going to turn on them?
I did not.
I did not.
Did you?
No.
No.
I thought anyone was going to turn was going to be Brie Larson.
No.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No. The nobodies don't turn.
Yeah,
I like Brie Larson, but why is she even in this movie? Like, seriously.
Because she's Brie Larson. I don't know. Another big name.
I thought
Captain
she was
Marvel
tank. I was having a good time
know.
with Brie Larson in this movie.
She's fine.
She was pretty good.
She could have not been in it. It would have not changed the movie one tiny iota.
Did you take away from it, James? Like, wish she wasn't in it?
I wish we had gotten more time with people we already have an established movie relationship with.
You want more Vin Diesel?
Throwing in yet another person to.
Isn't that what this movie does? It just constantly adds people.
I know, but you're in the last 2. It's time to stop doing that and just relax. Use the characters you've got.
What's that video game where you roll around and you just keep, like pick up trash as a giant ball and get bigger and bigger?
Katamari Damacy.
That's what the Fast and Furious movies are.
Yeah.
They just roll and everything they just absorb into themselves.
Yeah. When are they going to bring little Bow Wow back in?
I don't think he's so little anymore.
Oh no, he was in 9.
Was he in 9?
Oh yeah, he was.
Yeah, he and
space program.
Yeah, he was the space guys. Right. The Tokyo Drift guys were back in 9. They're doing the whole space Fiero.
But they didn't have him in this one. I wonder if they'll bring him around for the very last one. Do you literally think they'll have everybody like Endgame style in the next one?
Do you think they're going to have a funeral for Dom Endgame style? Where like Dom will be dead and then they're going to do this long pan through like every character at his funeral? Like
that would be amazing, and I would love that because it would mean they actually committed to something.
I
if they kill Dom, that's going to be awesome.
I think
he will die at the end of the last movie.
Yeah, for sure Dom's going to die. Yeah.
It's just if he's get resurrected or not, that's the question.
No.
Like
I don't think you're right. I don't think he'll die.
You don't think he'll die?
No. Why would he die?
Because he thinks he's a Christ figure.
Yeah. Have you seen the cross he wears?
I don't think he's gonna die.
I don't think he's gonna die either. I hope he dies.
I don't think he can die. Like, have you seen all the things he's been through? Like, he can't die.
No, if he dies, it's because he chooses to die, not because somebody kills him. That's how it's gonna play out.
Yeah, he's gonna sacrifice himself.
Right.
Lay down his life.
Yeah.
He's gonna choose.
Our car sins.
Right.
I think if I honestly had to guess, he's going to die, be legitimately provably dead, and then come back to life.
In the same movie?
Yes. Like in the same span of 10 minutes.
Like Nick Fury style.
He'll like open his eyes and he'll cut the credits.
Like a car will reboot him or something.
What if he becomes the car, like Knight Rider? Like he is the car.
I mean, we're not that with the tech in some of these movies. We're not very far off from like somebody downloading Dom's consciousness and uploading it to a car.
Yeah, wasn't that Idris Elba's like deal
in Hobbs and Shaw?
Hobbs and Shaw.
Yeah.
He had like nanobots on his spine or something like that.
Something like that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how I feel about the Mission Impossible tech in these movies.
Like the God's Eye.
Well, yeah, or the God's Eye, or like the super surgery robots. Like it just seems like, I mean, at some point in one of these movies, they needed money, and they could have just sold like the tech they had. Like they didn't have to rob anyone.
Well, I kind of feel like you have like original era, then you have like action heist era.
Yeah.
And now we're in sci-fi superhero.
We're in like Mission Impossible. Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
What'd you guys think of Pete Davidson?
Oh, I forgot he was even
I forgot he did this movie until right now.
That was a pretty funny scene. I mean, not surprised that he sold them out, but I liked his magic muffins. That was pretty funny.
I was fine with it. I didn't have any issue.
The magic muffin thing went nowhere. That was like a 1 second gag. It did not play into the plot whatsoever.
I wish they had done more with like Han on the magic muffins, having to drive or something. Like they could have. So these movies, they have a style, but they're not stylized whatsoever.
Right.
And I would have loved to have seen something stylish happen in one of these movies. And a drug trip is a great excuse to have a little fun.
Mm-hmm.
Have him drive like a grandma or something, thinking he's Tokyo drifting or something.
Also, those magic mushrooms or magic muffins worked immediately, and that was shocking.
That's how it works, right?
No.
You have to digest it a little bit.
Based on my knowledge, it takes some time.
Couldn't it have been like, I don't know, psilocybin or something? Doesn't that work immediately?
No clue.
I don't know, Zach. You seem to be the psilocybin fan of the group.
I've seen a lot of movies. It seems like it works immediately.
Another thing that surprised me was no Kurt Russell.
Yeah, he was barely in 9.
Mm-hmm.
And then they sent. Oh no, but we also had what's his face back? Clint Eastwood, Little Nobody.
Scott Eastwood.
Sorry, Scott Eastwood. Yeah, I wish. Well, I don't know if I wish Clint Eastwood in these movies. Scott Eastwood.
Yeah. But only for a little bit. Then he got sidelined in Rome, and then he never came back.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why Brie Larson was in there. We don't know what happened to Scotty Eastwood.
Scotty doesn't know.
Scotty doesn't know.
He doesn't know. I think they could just like get rid of all the agency stuff and the Kurt Russell and the Brie Larson and all that.
James wants to get rid of so many things. Is that because you did not like them, James? Or
it's because it's unnecessary and it's turned the series into Mission Impossible with cars. Whereas I liked the heist era where they're like planning things, and I like dragging safes down highways and stuff like that. I like if they instead of going sci-fi, they went more Ocean's 11. I think I'd like this more. But I don't dislike it. I just don't. It brings it closer to what everything else is, and I already have everything else.
You want it to be its own thing.
I'll say my favorite action scene, which felt like classic middle era Fast and Furious, was John Cena's like Batmobile chase through the quarry.
I like that too.
Like that was just actual cars actually blowing up, and it was shot well. Like some of the action scenes I thought were meh, and how they were shot and how they presented, but like that was one where I felt like I was watching a vintage good Fast and Furious movie just through that sequence.
I also liked the bomb rolling through the city with Dom going down the stairs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
There were times where it got a little goofy, but I liked that scene. It reminded me of the safe scene.
Oh,
where you're just like,
for sure they're trying to like invoke that idea. Yep.
Right. It worked for me.
I would like to interject that I think Dom is a very, very smart person because he uses a lot of math in his projections of where these things will go. And he had to use a lot of geometry and physics, and not only in Rome, but to get his child from one spinning car to another spinning car. Like that takes some lots of math right there. So
the physics of these movies, like the cars have unlimited like traction and unlimited torque.
Yes.
Like when he pulls two airplanes because he turned NOS on, I'm like, NOS doesn't give you a torque. NOS might give you a speed, but speed and torque are two different things here. But whatever.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
Did you guys know that in every Fast and Furious movie, Dom's car has to do a wheelie?
Is that true?
Has to?
Yes.
Has to or does?
It has to do. I was watching director commentary, and they said in every movie, Dom's car has to go up on two wheels at one point. So for this scene, we got to like, so they have to figure out how to make his car go on two wheels at some point in the movie.
I also like the driving down the damn thing. I thought that was at least visually interesting.
At least they put seatbelts on for that one.
Yeah. For some reason, that's believable, but like jumping from a building to another building in Abu Dhabi or wherever that was.
Dubai.
Did not make sense.
And you guys feel very comfortable that like his friends are not dead. The ones in the plane
of course
crashed or whatever. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, like to give Roman and Tej and Ramsey such unceremonious off-screen deaths like that.
No, they're going to milk that type of stuff in the next one. If it's the final one, for sure.
I'm curious to see. I mean, this is oddly left on a cliffhanger with the dam breaking. So I'm kind of curious to know how they're going to figure this one out. I'm sure it'll involve a car, but
he has no car though. The car's gone.
Well, I'm assuming that his friends had a car in the plane. The plane will crash, their car will escape, and they'll pick up Dom in their car.
And they
before the water gets
the movie will start that way, is his friends saving him.
Okay. There's not. I mean, they did crash pretty far away, and water moves quite quickly from a dam. So, but physics.
Well, but it hasn't broke yet, has it?
No, I thought it had broken, and we saw the water rushing.
I thought there was fire we saw rushing.
Oh, maybe. Okay,
I could be wrong.
We saw the timers. We saw the detonators up there, but we did not see anything go off yet.
Oh, okay.
I like how he does use the same detonator for everything. Like he's got one detonator that he likes to use.
Yeah, with the little
the circle thing. Yeah,
maybe he got a bulk pack deal on Amazon or something.
Yeah.
They use those detonators in 6 or something very similar looking to them.
Do they? Okay.
Yeah, so I think that's agency tech. I like that these movies have decided at some point that Letty is now a motorcycle driver. Like she never was. Yeah, and now she's like, oh yeah, Letty's great at motorcycles, and like that adds something unique to this, that we get those motorcycle stunts. She did that awesome one where she like cartwheeled it over a fallen pole or something like that, which looked like a practical stunt to me. So I appreciate that.
Can someone give me a real brief summary of like Dom has a kid, but it's not Letty's kid? Okay. Like what's going on here?
You want to go for it, Megan?
I do.
You're gonna start with one. The whole Letty everything. So
okay, Dom and Letty were high school sweethearts, maybe. Well, Dom is older than Letty, so get over that first. But they love each other. And so they were together. They got secretly married. Does that happen first?
They get
or no?
And he's wearing like it's a white cutoff t-shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah. They got married in 4.
Okay, so they got married in 4. Nope. Okay, so this is before Letty dies.
She dies in 4.
She goes away.
Oh, she died?
Mm-hmm. She dies.
She dies in 4.
Right, she dies.
Yep.
She disappears. And so Dom in 5 meets Elena, who is an FBI agent in Brazil. No, she's a police officer in Brazil. And she works with Vin Diesel. No, she works with Hobbs.
And her husband's also dead.
Right, her husband's also dead. So they get together. And by chance, he impregnates her. He doesn't know this.
Just by chance.
And this by chance. They're together for 5 and 6, I think.
In part of 6.
Part of 6 until Letty comes back. But she has amnesia.
No memory, right?
No memory,
right.
Exactly.
No memory whatsoever. But Elena says, hey, I understand she's your first love and you want to get back together with her. And so
then they find out she's pregnant, right?
No, they don't find out she's pregnant.
We never know that Elena's
and has
pregnant.
A baby. Right. Elena goes away and we don't find out she's pregnant until 8 when she shows up Cypher shows up with her and the baby in the plane.
Right. And then they're like, Dom, you're a daddy.
Yep.
Yes.
And then in the same instance, Cypher kills her, right?
Kills Elena.
Well,
kills the
Elena.
Right.
Yeah.
The maternal mother.
Yep.
Right.
Paternal
because
mother,
Dom didn't do something or did something wrong. Mm. Yeah.
Okay.
And
it's soap opera drama.
And Zach, Letty never got her memory back.
No.
Right.
She re-fell in love with Dom.
Yeah, like at the end of 6, they go back to like the house, and then Dom's like, do you remember any of this? And she's like, nope. But it feels like home. So like our Letty has no memory of like the life she had pre all this. She just accepts that like, oh, I must love these people. These people must be my family.
Yep.
Wild.
Yeah. So
yeah.
And did you get the impression that Dom's trying to get Letty pregnant in this movie, like at the very beginning?
Yes.
Okay.
Because he's touching his belly.
Yeah. And she's like, not yet. I'm like, I don't think she wants to be. I think Letty might be secretly on birth control. And she's like, oh, so no, it didn't happen this month. Sorry.
Or maybe she secretly wants it too. You never know.
I don't know. She probably sees that they're in mortal danger every year. Like maybe I don't want to bring another child into this. So,
yeah. Okay. She also saw what happened to the last baby mama Dom had.
So. That's true. Yeah. Yeah.
That might be.
She doesn't really want that fate.
Yeah. She got arrested in this one. Yeah. She knows what happens to Dom's partners.
Anything else spoiler free on Fast X?
Oh wait, this was not the spoiler section.
Sorry, spoiler film.
Right.
Spoiler film.
Now we're really gonna get into the spoilers.
Oh, all right. Let's get into it.
We did that one time, didn't we? Do one where we did the review. We did this kind of spoiler review, and then the really spoiler review.
Yes,
did we? Yeah. What movie was that, James?
What it was. I don't remember.
It was at your insistence. Like you insisted that we had to have like 3 levels of spoilers.
So, I don't remember.
Okay.
That's really funny.
Anything else? We're all good. I think before we go into the next segment, I know Kyle listened to this, but did you guys see the Vin Diesel interview he did with Rotten Tomatoes?
Oh, the Civilization one? It's
awesome. I'm going to play it.
Okay.
Hopefully you guys will be able to hear it. It's pretty amazing. It's 40 seconds long. This is Vin Diesel. Here we go.
This is a multi-generational saga. In the beginning, in 2001, they had no vulnerabilities. And in many ways, Dom was reluctant to have kids within the saga, potentially because he didn't necessarily trust where civilization was. That anybody that you know that ends up committing to having a family, when they commit to having a family, you know they're now really invested in civilization. The number one question to ask anybody in the world, anywhere, are you pro-civilization or not?
The number one question to ask anyone, are you pro-civilization or not?
Zach, what's your take on civilization, pro or con?
What? I mean, I would say I'm pro-civilization.
Well, good, because you have children.
I've got 2 kids, yeah.
Yeah, when you found out Julie was pregnant, was that a conscious decision to be pro-civilization? Did you take that into an account when you were planning?
He's bringing that to this movie. What does it have anything to do with this movie?
It has nothing to do with it. I really wish somehow we could trace back how this thought formed in his brain. Like what path was followed from birth to the moment he said that sentence.
Does Vin Diesel have kids?
I don't know.
I have no idea.
Is he pro-civilization?
I can tell you he's somewhere between 5'10" and 5'11.5", but
he's pro-family, and if you have a family, then you're pro-civilization.
No, he's pro-found family.
Sure. I guess.
No,
I guess
he does have kids, yes.
Okay.
He's not just
1,
pro-found
2,
family,
3.
he's also pro-actual family.
Do you think
3
he
kids.
knows?
Did he have a brother for for 8 movies that we didn't know about?
Yeah, and now Jacob's back.
Yeah.
He has a grandmother we just met for the first time.
What I'm saying is he could care less about his actual family for 8 movies, and then he's back. Like, you know what I mean?
Mia is his actual sister.
All right.
Okay.
It's not very pro-civilization of him.
No, like it's not like he's estranged. I mean, yes, he was estranged from his brother. The dad's dead apparently. We never met the mom. But
does he ever talk about his dad ever?
In 9 he did.
And so 9 movies in.
And maybe in 1.
I'm just saying his family is not so important.
No, he talked about his dad in 1 also.
Okay.
Because go ahead.
Go ahead. I have a theory about this phenomenally strange answer to a question that he gave. Is that he's heard people joke about the family thing. And so he's trying to come up with other answers when he's asked questions other than constantly relating it back to family. Let's move on to our top 10 Fast and Furious characters. There's a lot of them. In my research for this, I found a list of like 46. And that's not counting the characters in Fast X. Like the new characters in Fast X. So yeah, there was a lot of them. It was interesting to read that list too, because I didn't recognize most of them. I was like, really? I don't remember any of these people. And a lot of them didn't have big parts, but they're so inconsequential compared to probably the ones on most of our lists. But let's get into it. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first. Let's rank some movies. No. Let's rank some characters.
All right.
All right. My number 10 is Dante, Jason Momoa from Fast X.
Oh, my number 10 is Dante.
All right. Yeah, I thought he was really Let's pick some winners. Let's pick some I said that one. Oh, man. Let's pick some winners. What an a-hole. Yeah, Dante. We discussed him a lot. A great addition to this list. Zach, that's your number 10 also?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Megan, what about you?
I have Cypher at number 10, just because Charlize Theron is amazing and a good bad guy. Good bad person.
I also have Cypher at number 10.
That's a bingo.
Wow.
We each bingoed with somebody else.
Nice.
Awesome.
All right. My number 9 is Giselle, Gal Gadot. Back in the franchise. Spoiler. I think pairing her with the Han character was very smart, and I like seeing them together.
My number 9 is Mia Toretto. I don't know. I think I remember liking her.
Someone does like Jordana Brewster. Okay.
All right.
Meg.
I've got Letty at number 9. I think she's grown as a character from the beginning, and most notably in 10, her motorcycle skills.
Nice. My number 9 is Keat, played by Tony Jaa from Furious 7. The only part of Furious 7 that I really remember. He's the guy who martial art fights Paul Walker in the bus as it's sliding towards the edge of the cliff.
Okay.
And he has a great line too where, I forget what the line exactly is, but he like shuts Paul Walker into the bus right as it's about to go over the cliff, and he says something like, "Too slow," or something like that. And then he runs off. And I just like Tony Jaa in general, and I wish they hadn't gotten rid of him in one movie. I think they could have carried him over.
My number 8 is also a martial artist, and this is the character of Jaa, played by Joe Taslim, not Tony Jaa.
Sure.
Joe Taslim is in The Raid Redemption, the first Raid movie, and he is one of Owen Shaw's henchmen in number 6. And he has a great fight scene where he fights Roman and Han in a subway and kicks both their butts. And after he leaves, Roman and Han look at each other and say, "Let's never talk about this again. No one needs to know."
Cool.
Yep.
My number 8 is Ames from Fast X. I liked him.
Zach, have you watched Reacher on Amazon?
No.
That actor plays Reacher, and it's
cool.
He's great as Reacher.
Nice.
Yeah.
Recommended?
Reacher.
That show's worth it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's worth it.
Yeah.
They're making a second season.
Better than the Tom Cruise version?
Yes.
Have you seen I haven't seen the Tom Cruise version.
No, but I've
Jack
heard
Reacher.
better.
But like he actually looks like Reacher. Like Jack Reacher is a enormous hulk of a man.
What are you trying to say?
That Tom Cruise is shorter than me and quite skinny.
Okay.
Alan Richardson was incredibly tan in Fast X, and in Reacher he is much blonder, much more Norwegian looking. So it was quite stunning in this past time.
Could you take Tom Cruise in a fight?
Can I take Tom Cruise in a fight? I think there's Meghan's shaking her head no.
There's no way. That guy gets paid to constantly train.
That guy gets paid to pretend to fight.
I think he probably knows how to fight for real.
Yeah. I don't know if he's been in it too many real fights.
Do you think you could beat Tom Cruise in a fight?
I think I have a chance.
But like 10 out of 10 fights, like who do you give odds to? Not do you have a chance? You have a chance against anyone. But
I don't know. Like I say 10 out of 10, I would win 6 or 7.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Like Alan Richardson, 0. Maybe I get 1. He's a big guy. I can get tired by that last one, but
it would never happen. But I would pay money to see you fight Tom Cruise.
Pay money to see you fight Alan Richardson.
I'll fight whichever one gives me more money.
Who's next?
Meghan. I think I am. Yeah,
number
8.
Yep.
I have the duo of Tego and Rico.
Oh.
They are they're not brothers, but they're friends. They were in prison together. And they help out in 8 with the meeting with Queenie and Dom in the bar. They drive up the ambulance, and then they also take away Deckard. So I just think they're a good comic relief because you don't usually know what they're saying, but they are talking to each other in either broken Spanish or Portuguese. I'm not sure.
Yeah, there was arguing. I think they're in 4 and 5 also.
Yeah.
My number 8, and this might be controversial because it's so low, is Dominic Toretto.
I think that's
he didn't even make my list.
Oh, really?
Not on my list. He's not on my list at all.
Wow, he's the highest on my list, and I thought he was low.
Do you like him as a character?
I don't like him.
I did, but I think he's been very uninteresting for quite a while. And as the center of these films, it's kind of a shame that he refuses to share the spotlight in any real way with anybody else. I do think it's an interesting character. It's just everything that's happened to him could have been put in 3 movies instead of 10. They just like drag things out, soap opera style. So yeah, my number 8.
My number 7 is Cypher. Charlize Theron, great addition to the cast, and a different bad guy. I think she's one of the first bad guys that wasn't just punching and kicking. She was a intelligent bad guy.
Yeah, my number 7 is Jacob Toretto, mostly because I liked him in this movie.
Yep.
Number 8 is Han, mostly because he loves snacks.
Okay. Perfect. I mean, we don't really know much about Han, so that makes sense.
He's hungry.
He's hungry all the time.
My number 7, also Jacob Toretto.
Nice.
Just because John Cena, by the power of his, I don't know, what do you call it? Charisma. Certainly not any storyline they've applied to the character.
Has he shared screen time with The Rock?
In these movies?
Yeah.
No.
He was The Rock replacement.
Rock was in 9.
Yeah.
Oh, he's saying The Rock was supposed to be the brother originally?
No.
That would be a great twist.
No. I'm saying they couldn't control The Rock.
They couldn't control.
And so Dom, or Vin Diesel, the actor, was like, get me a wrestler who will do everything we tell him to. So they got John Cena.
I don't think we mentioned that Justin Lin quit this movie after a week.
Was he actually that far into it?
I heard it was a week into production and he quit. And online, it's all very amicable. You know, he's still a producer and he just said, differences. But my impression from what I've read is that Vin Diesel was very controlling of the production and what he wanted the movie to be. I think Justin Lin didn't want to work under those conditions.
Okay.
So they got the now you can see me guy.
I just figured he'd be bored as a filmmaker at this point.
He's been doing 4 of these now. 6,
it's amazing
7, 8,
to me
9,
that the actors aren't bored. Like another car chase. We do this every 2 or 3 years. You know what I mean? I know it's money. And it's a job at this point for most of them.
This movie had a lot more hand-to-hand fighting. It felt John Wickian at times. So
sure.
All right. My number 6 is Tej, played by Ludacris. Started as a mechanic who ran underground races, and he's now a world-class hacker on a team that has 2 world-class hackers.
Mm-hmm.
My number 6 is Deckard Shaw.
Statham. Yep.
Yeah. My number 6 is Ramsey. Another one of the. Is she the other hacker you're talking about?
Yes. Yep.
Yes, definitely. She is. She's amazing. I think I love her mostly because of her charisma, and she does not give in to either Tej or Roman, either of their advances.
My number 6 is Dante from Fast X.
Nice.
Jason Momoa, 1 movie. Best villain they've had ever, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
For my money.
My number 5 is Letty. I think she's one of the most interesting characters in this series. She's had the most development from where she started to where she is and what she's been through, and picked up motorcycle skills along the way somehow. So, props to Letty. I like Michelle Rodriguez too. So,
my number 5 is Magdalene Queenie Shaw. I like her.
Yeah.
Cool.
My number 5 is Roman. Love his comic relief. Love the everybody else picks on him a lot, and but he takes himself pretty seriously, and had a little bit of an awakening this Fast 10 movie.
Can you explain liking Roman to me a little bit, because I don't understand it? What has he ever said that's funny? Like, I understand he like says jokes, but I just don't find him funny at all.
He when The Rock were in these movies, he made fun of The Rock so much.
Mm-hmm.
And then The Rock gave it back to him too. So like I think peak Roman is Roman in The Rock going back and forth.
And it wasn't just The Rock being funny?
No, it was both.
No, okay. It was both.
Yeah.
And Roman and Tej together, I think, is pretty funny. as well.
They had a little animosity in this one, but in other movies, they're good.
What was with that random fight? And then they just got over. It seems so out of place.
There were like 3 random fights. Like, didn't Cypher and Letty just fight because they had a couple minutes to kill?
Yeah, well, that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
No, that was about something else.
Okay, I must have misinterpreted that. Or like Deckard Shaw wanted. We didn't mention that Statham was in this movie whatsoever.
Oh, yeah.
Like that his return to the movie. He just starts fighting Han, and then Han's like, "I don't want to fight you." Like, people just meet and fight immediately in these movies.
Mm-hmm.
They've got things to work out, and that's the only way they know how. And there's no cars around. So
James, what's your number 5?
My number 5 is Mia Toretto, which is a character that I think has gotten the short straw, post Paul Walker. But I really enjoy, like, in those first couple of movies, the whole like Dom versus Paul Walker's character. I'm drawing a Brian. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Dom versus Brian, and like they're buddies, but they're also on opposite sides. He's dating his sister, and like the whole triangle of it all, stuff like that. Yeah, and I like that she's still in the movies. It's nice, but they haven't given her much to do in quite a while.
Yeah.
My number 4 is Han. I think Sung Kang plays him with his like this cool breeziness. He likes snacks, and his official character name is Han Solo.
Han Is that true?
Solo. Is
that true?
Yeah, like Seoul as in Korea, Seoul.
Okay.
Yeah.
My number 4 is Tess. I thought she brought a lot of energy to the movie.
Which one's Tess?
That is Mr. Nobody's daughter, played by Brie Larson.
Oh.
She's not Little Nobody. She's
Little Nobody's sister.
Yeah, Mr. Nobody's daughter.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, she just had her vibe was just so like, I don't know, boss lady. I liked it.
Mm-hmm.
I thought she was a good character.
My number, what are we on? 4? My number 4 is Tej. I just really enjoy Ludacris and appreciate that he was a mechanic in number 2, and now he is a world-class hacker. Like Kyle said, like, need a hacker? I know a guy. We'll just bring him back in number 5.
My number 4 is Letty. She's a big part of these movies, and some of the most ridiculous parts she's involved with, from as far as like a storyline perspective. But yeah, she's like, I think all the female characters are pretty independent, but she the most, I feel like, is just like, if Dom was to disappear tomorrow, she would just be as badass as she ever was. You know what I mean? Like, she can hold her own no matter what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
My number 3 is Roman, for all the previous reasons I mentioned a couple ago.
I don't get it. My number 3 is Ramsey. I think Ramsey's fantastic.
Yeah. Okay.
Ramsey's fantastic.
My number 3 is Queenie. Helen Mirren plays her just fantastically. I think she is just a bright spot in these crazy, weird movies, silly movies, and Helen Mirren is just a funny placement, casting decision, but she does such a great job. I really like her.
Yeah, I read earlier this week that there are 4 Academy Award winning actresses in
all
Fast
women.
X.
Yeah, Brie Larson, Helen Mirren.
There's not like a single nomination among the men. There's 4 winning women.
Mm-hmm.
Charlize, who's the 4th one?
I don't remember.
Brie, Helen Mirren, Charlize Theron.
I don't think Gal Gadot's won an Oscar. Right?
Rita Moreno.
Right.
Abuela.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
My number 3 is Luke Hobbs, played by The Rock.
Yep.
He's awesome, and he injected a lot when the series needed it. My number 3.
My number 2 is Deckard Shaw, played by Jason Statham. He has similar motivations to Dante as a bad guy, where it was all about revenge for not even his brother being killed, his brother being put into a coma. So, but they've found a way to work Statham and Deckard Shaw into the series as a regular character, and I think he's great in these movies.
Not to digress, but is the brother still in a coma somewhere?
No. Didn't he pop up in one? I feel like
he was in
8. In 8, okay.
He was in 8.
Okay.
Yeah, because Helen Mirren brought him back. He's like, you have to use your brother for number 8, and so he helps get the baby out of the plane.
That is one of the best action sequences. That's up there. The baby in the plane with the baby carrier, and that's great.
My number 2 is Luke Hobbs.
Nice.
My number 2 is also Deckard Shaw for the aforementioned baby heist from the plane in The Fate of the Furious. Awesomely choreographed.
My number 2 is Roman Pierce, which Zach doesn't understand. But
you all love Roman.
He needs to rewatch Too Fast, Too Furious, obviously. He was like a main guy. I've
never seen Too Fast, Too Furious.
He was the Vin Diesel. So Too Fast and Too Furious is Paul Walker and Roman Pierce. Paul Walker and Tyrese are the 2 main characters in that movie. So a lot of like him, not like in 10, spoilers if you skipped ahead, in 10, him being like, I can't run a mission, or like second guessing his leadership, stuff like that. All of that points back to like the fact that he was Paul Walker's second-hand man in the second movie.
Okay. Yeah, this movie is just
like the best response ever.
Okay.
I need receipts. Where's my receipts? Like, it's just so okay. My number 1 is gonna come after Kyle's.
My number 1 is now.
Teaser for you.
I'm going to purr happily, and now this is where I put my number 1 placement. My number 1 is Luke Hobbs, played by The Rock. He is awesome in this franchise. The Rock is great, and I am so happy he is back. Spoiler alert.
Yeah, that is a spoiler.
Well, said that.
I'm assuming this is at the end of the show. I don't know where this is going to go. So
probably.
My number 1 is Brian O'Connor. That he wasn't even on your list, Kyle.
I don't know. Brian doesn't do much for me.
You don't like Brian?
Not really. It's the main characters are not why I watched this movie. Letty. I mean, if you notice, the only like actual main character that made it was Letty, and now Roman. But I mean, for me, it's the friends who meet along the way. They're the real stars of these movies.
Okay.
Oh, that's so touching.
It's the found family.
Oh, that's like not even keeping track anymore. My number. Did you go? I'm sorry, Zach.
Yes,
Brian.
Oh, okay.
Brian. Yes. We all forgot.
My
already.
number 1 is also Luke Hobbs. For all the reasons that Kyle said, I am a huge Rock fan, and I do really appreciate him in the Fast and Furious franchise. Glad to see that he'll be back for the second part of Fast 10.
All right, we got another double bingo because my number 1 is Brian.
That's a bingo.
Ooh, all right.
So we started the list with that. We ended it each matching up. Brian's great, and he's sorely missed in these movies for sure. He's like such a good guy. He's chill. He's not annoying like Vin Diesel. His acting is like bad, but like in an acceptable way, not in like a ridiculously cheesy, awkward way. And like go back and watch that bus scene from 7. It's awesome. It's great. He's good at fist fighting. He's good at running up a bus that's falling off a cliff. That guy's good at everything. Was good at everything.
Oh, Brian's still alive. He's good at everything.
Okay, Brian's still alive. But I like Paul Walker in general.
Okay.
Like if you go back and watch Paul Walker movies, like he's always playing Paul Walker for the most part. And so I conflate Brian with Paul Walker for sure. I'm sure there is a difference, but yeah. His presence is missing from these movies later on in the series for me.
Megan, James and I fell into this trap last week. Can you tell me what is the name of the Paul Walker surfing movie from the 2000s?
Blue Crush.
Oh, she got it right away.
She knew it right away.
Okay.
We were both a la ChatGPT convinced we were correct about something until we decided we weren't. Yeah, we thought it was Into the Blue.
Yeah.
My God, no. You guys.
I know. It's
I can't believe
shameful.
that I knew movie trivia more than you two did.
Oh, I'm sorry I don't know my mid-2000s Paul Walker movies. No, it is Into the Blue. Megan, you did the same thing as us. It's not Blue Crush.
It's
James,
not?
Vindication.
Yes, I feel very good about that.
I must have been making out during that movie or something.
Not with me.
Nope.
Good job, Daddy.
All right, let's get out of here. That was our top 10 Fast and Furious characters. Before we go, though, I have a very, very quick game. Okay?
Okay.
There's 9 answers. No, wait, there's 10 answers. So we'll just go round robin, or maybe, I don't know. I'll just throw things out there. You guys give me answers. All right? We don't have to keep score. And if you already know the answers to these, please abstain.
Wait, if we know the answers, don't answer.
So this is not
if
true.
you know the answers, then let other people guess. Okay?
Okay.
Because in Japan, the Fast and Furious franchise goes by a completely different name and naming convention. So I'm going to give you the Japanese translation of the Fast and Furious, of what the Fast and Furious movies are titled. And you tell me which installment it is in the English language. Okay?
Okay. There's no Hobbs and Shaw. There's just vanilla.
We'll start with an easy one.
Okay.
In Japan, the series, instead of Fast and Furious, it's called Wild Speed, which is a great name. It's almost better than Fast and Furious, in my opinion. So, what movie is the equivalent of Wild Speed X3 : Tokyo Drift?
Tokyo Drift.
Wait, I can't answer. I think I know this one.
Okay.
Fast and Furious 3, Tokyo Drift.
Tokyo Drift. Yes.
Yeah.
I told you it was an easy one. These are going to get harder. What movie in the Fast and Furious franchise is just Wild Speed?
It's got to be the first one.
Kyle
Fast and
thinks,
Furious.
Kyle thinks the first one.
Yeah.
I bet it's not the first one. I bet it's the
You guys think it's the fourth one?
I think it's the fourth one.
Okay.
I think it's the fourth one.
I'm going to stick with first.
Zach said first.
Zach said fourth
I
also.
said fourth.
So 2 fourth, 1 first. It was the first.
Okay.
The first one is Wild Speed. What about Wild Speed : Fire Boost?
Too fast, too
Yeah, I'm going to go with
furious.
2 on that one.
Okay.
Yeah. 2.
Two's all around?
Yeah.
No, it wasn't number 2. It was Fast X. The most recent one is called Wild
Fast
Speed :
Boost.
Fire Boost.
Fire Boost.
What about Wild Speed : Ice Break?
Oh, that's got to be.
That's
That's
8.
got to be 8.
Has a submarine in it.
Okay, we got 2
and an
8s.
iceberg.
That's
Zach,
got to be 8.
I don't know.
you don't know? Are you going to go with them just because you
Yeah.
don't have any idea? That's
Of course.
correct. It was
Okay.
8.
Okay.
What about Wild Speed Megamax?
Mega
9.
Max?
Zach says 9. Wild Speed Megamax.
I'll go with 9.
Are these what they're called, or is it a translation of what they're called?
I'm assuming it's a translation. I mean, other than Wild Speed, it's definitely not Fast and Furious there. It's Wild Speed. But I'm assuming they take the Japanese version and then translate it back to English.
I don't know, I'll go 7
So
to be different. It could be any of them.
I'm gonna guess 9.
Okay. It was 5. Fast 5.
Oh.
What about Wild Speed : Super Combo?
Super Combo.
4.
I'm going to go 6.
4,
I've
6.
lost track of which one we've
know.
used. And
I
which
was
one we
hoping that
haven't.
would happen.
I wrote down.
Of course you did. Cheater.
No, I'm not cheating. I'm using my resources.
Wild
You don't
Speed
have resources.
Super Combo.
No one said you couldn't write them down.
Combo is 4. Do we already use 4?
No.
4.
The answer: Fast and Furious presents Hobbs and Shaw.
Oh,
Super
I didn't know
combo.
that
I
was,
know Hobbs and Shaw was
I asked
in
if that
there.
was in if that was in the
Ah.
All right, and I intentionally didn't answer. What about Wild Speed : Sky Mission?
Oh, that's gotta be 7.
7.
Zach?
7.
Yes.
It was 7.
What
about
place is that? Yes.
You guys obviously are not caught up on your Mandalorian.
Oh, that's not The Shining? I thought that was like Danny.
Oh.
No.
Okay.
What about Wild Speed : Euro Mission?
Euro Mission
is
that...
they've already used this one. They've already used 10.
I'm abstaining from any future ones.
That might be 6.
We're almost there, Zach.
That might be 6.
Kyle's gonna guess 6.
Yeah.
9.
6 and 9. The answer was 6.
Okay.
Oh,
The answer was 6.
I've lost
All right.
track. I'm out.
All right.
How many more do you have?
There's 3 to go.
No, there's 2 more.
Well,
it's not a tumor.
There's 3 more movies. So
Well, there's only 2 more.
okay.
Tumor.
It's not a tumor.
All right. What about Wild Speed Max?
Where did that one?
Just Wild Speed Max?
Mm-hmm. We did Mega Max. This is Max.
Let's go. Well, which one was Mega Max? Crap. Okay, let's go 4 then. I think 5 was Mega Max, so we're gonna go 4 for Max.
Which is titled what?
Fast and Furious.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Final one. Wild Speed X2.
That's got to be the second one. Too Fast, Too Furious.
Yes.
Okay.
Those are crazy names.
That is correct.
So number 9 did not get any love in this one.
I guess not. I don't know why that one wasn't on the list I found, but it wasn't there.
Because surprisingly, there's no Japanese translation for Saga.
In Korean, instead of Fast and Furious, they use Furious Spirit.
All right.
The more you know. Thank you for listening to this episode 583 of the Cinereelists. We appreciate your listenership. Don't forget to do all the things like subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow us, support us on Patreon, leave us an Apple Podcast review, or send us an email to heyguys@cinereelists.com. You could also follow us on social media on Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, or Instagram at Cinereelists, or you could follow me on my personal Twitter or Letterboxd account at YoJRB.
You can follow me on Twitter or Letterboxd at Shaban.
You can find me on Letterboxd at Peter SKB.
Megan.
You can find me on Instagram at MendyMegs, MEHNDIMEGS.
Nice. Thanks for coming on again, Megan. It was great having you.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Next week, we may or may not be talking the live action Little Mermaid. We haven't fully decided whether that's possible next weekend or not. But if we do a new release, it'll probably be that. If not, we'll come up with something fun to talk about. We'll see you guys there. Until then, keep it cinereal.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.